So you might be asking yourself, how much maintenance, how many repairs, what all goes into having a truck that's lasted almost 500,000 miles? Well, today I'm going to show you. So I'll just begin by going from the front of the truck to the back of the truck, what I've replaced, what I've done. Number one, the AC condenser, you can see in the back here. I've replaced that twice now. Had a rock chip it. I had one that was just completely plugged up, the original. This one was just recently put in. It is still going strong. The radiator, this is the second one I've had. The original stock one was completely clogged up. Everything was basically clay in the front of it, and no airflow could get through the fins. So I got the Mishimoto radiator. It's got much better welding. It's got the actual aluminum sides that that hold it, not the plastic ones. Holds a lot more, so that's been excellent. That's been about 250,000 miles, I would say. I've had that on. The batteries, I've had three new batteries put in since I got the truck. I've had the belt replaced 2 or 3 times. The belt tensioner 2 or 3 times as well. The water pump, I've replaced that twice in all of those miles. Also have the power steering. I don't know if you can see it down there, but the power steering pump, the power steering gearbox was just recently replaced. Another thing you guys might be asking is that the original turbo? And believe it or not, it is. So far I haven't heard any big loud bangs. I haven't seen any crazy things, any crazy EGTs. It's performing like it should. The exhaust brake still works just fine. I use it daily in town, on the highway, with a load, without a load. I use the exhaust brake, and it's just been incredible for me. Being the original turbo, I had to replace my 6 injectors. About 405,000 miles. I was in Missouri, and I started to hear and see. I saw some black smoke, some knocking, felt it kind of shaking back and forth, and by the time I pulled off, there was black clouds behind me. Something was majorly wrong. I saw a bunch of codes flash up at me, and I'm figuring, oh yeah, this is it right here. But had injectors go at 405,000, so I figured I got my money's worth. Yeah, that was a trip. The power steering hose that goes into the master cylinder, that's been replaced. I've had the fan clutch replaced as well. The thermostat that's on the top of the engine, which the hose goes to the radiator, had to replace that at about 230,000, I believe. It gave up the ghost, and I was out in Colorado, and that was in combination with my radiator being so clogged up. My temperature was in the high 200s, probably in the 300s, I think. Had to limp it to the next auto repair shop, and did a little surgery up here on the thermostat. Got that all changed out and got delivered. and then limped home. But yep, the thermostat's only been replaced once, about halfway, roughly 200, 250, somewhere in there. There's quite a bit of a story on this driver's side, front tire, front side here. I had my wheel hub assembly go out on me, so I almost needed to replace my rotors that I had put on quite a while ago. It's kind of messed up there. The grooves are pretty bad there. I had to replace the brake pads. I replaced the actual caliper. It was toast. I replaced the shocks 2 or 3 times. The actual front coils here I've replaced once. Something else I've had done that I did with a good friend of mine, did the U-joints in the front axle here with the 4-wheel drive. But so far I have not yet done the U-joints for the whole drivetrain. Anything else, I know I really need to. That's coming up in the future, but have not done those yet. Shortly after the left front wheel hub assembly went out, the right hub started to go, so I limped it all the way home and replaced it, and didn't have to go through the rotor or the caliper having any damage. Was able to save it. I've also done ball joints, upper and lower, on the front side here. Only had to do them once so far. As you'd expect, all the fittings that needed to be greased, I've done that on a regular basis, probably more regular than a normal person would. Like I said from the very beginning, that first video that I made, my truck is not made to look extra pretty. I've got some battle scars. I've gone through quite a bit of weather. This came free of charge when I first got the truck. But yeah, the regular maintenance, the tire rotations, the oil changes, all of that. I know some of you might be wondering, well, what about your transmission? Your injectors went out, but what about your transmission? Is that still alive? So I have the 68 RFE, the weaker of the two transmissions that everybody talks about in the Dodge Cummins, and to be honest, I've had no issues so far. I've done every 100,000 miles or so. I've had the filter and the fluid exchanged, and I've had no slippage, no real problems. I've had some overheating going uphill in the crazy heat, stop and go traffic, but that's to be expected in those types of situations with a load. But so far, God's been good. He'll be good either way, but no trouble with the transmission so far. This right rear dual tires here, that was an exciting time as well. I didn't have the tire rotation people torque them down again after 50 miles or so. I went out on a short trip, maybe 400 or 500 miles. Got there, came back, and lo and behold, when I pulled into my driveway, I only had 2 lug nuts and 2 lug bolts still on my holding my rim of my tires together. The rest, then they were just together right there. The rest of the 6 were completely sheared off. The tires were loose. I didn't somehow notice it at all. I knew something was off, but I couldn't tell what it was. It could have gotten a lot worse, but so I've had to replace 6 of those lug nuts. I went ahead and did all 8. Yep, had to replace those as well. As you can see, I put a little patch in there with my muffler there at completely rusted off, clean off, and so I just put that little patch in there to keep it together so I'm not too much louder, but so I've had to redo that as well. I've also serviced my rear differential twice. Each time it looked just fine, not too bad, cleaned it up, didn't have any shavings or anything in there, so things are going well in the rear as well. So I'm not sure I can give you a clear-cut exact way to make sure that you don't lose your transmission, you don't lose your turbo, but I can tell you that the way I drive on the highway, with a load, without a load, in town, I consider all driving with this truck to be, it's for profit. So I don't do burnouts, I don't floor it, I don't race, I don't get crazy out on the road. Everything I do is very, very cautious, very safe, and I believe that if you do that, you're not going to have the trouble that guys they complain. 50,000 miles, my turbo blew, and it's just a garbage turbo. I need the higher, whatever. If you want to pay and do those things, be my guest, go for it, knock yourself out, pay some crazy money to be able to do that. I, for one, don't want to do that. I'm going to baby the rest of my truck for as long as I can keep it going, and I'm not going to just hammer away at it. I want this thing to last, get every dollar's worth out of it as I continue paying it down. So that's what I would say. Just drive it like a grandma going to church, and yeah, you'll be all right. So there you have it. This is my list of what I've had to do, what I've had to replace on the side of the road, or at home, or even I've had to just take it to the shop because I wasn't able to do it. I didn't know how to do it at the time. I wasn't confident in my skills to be able to replace these parts to be safe. This is my list of what I've had to do. It'll be growing, ongoing. I'll keep sharing that with you. But this has been everything that I can remember, what I've had to do so far in 500,000 miles. If you enjoyed today's content, be sure to like and subscribe. I'll be putting as many videos out as I can, as regularly as possible, kind of sharing my journey, sharing this truck's journey as well, what I've done to it, what I haven't done to it. So, yeah, until next time, thanks.